Howdy folks, Nathan here, and behind me is the 2021 Volkswagen Arteon 2.0T Premium R-Line. It's a mouthful. And this vehicle is very similar to last year's model. However, there's one big difference, and I'm going to show you what that is. There are a couple differences with the exterior design on the 2021 Arteon, and that's basically a little bit in the front in terms of the grille design. Now, by the way, these vents, they're functional. That's right, they're used for aerodynamics and brake cooling. I like the fact that vents are actually functional. The rest of this vehicle looks like $1 million. You have to agree, even if you're not a Volkswagen fan, that this is one of the best looking Volkswagens built right now being sold in the United States. In fact, this is really considered their flagship. But let me show you something really interesting with the design element. I've shown it before. Other vehicles like Jaguar and Audi have it. This is a clamshell design hood, so it actually goes up and over the fenders. Now, this is cool looking. It may be good for aerodynamics, and it's also good because you don't see any panel gaps normally when you look down on a hood and a fender separation. I actually like that. I think it's something that we're going to see more often on modern vehicles. Another thing is wang! Yeah, this doesn't do anything. It's just, you know, for the looks. And of course the big R right there. It's one of the things you're paying for. And we will discuss price because it's expensive. Let's work our way back. This character line is beautiful, and it goes all the way back to the rear taillights. It's such a well-designed vehicle. By the way, 20-inch wheels, and it's not my favorite design. They actually have others that I think look better, but they still look quite good. Not exactly great for potholes or off-roading, just to let you know. But look at this rear design. Absolutely knocked it out of the park. And here's something that I'm thrilled about. Let's go all the way to the bottom. See that? There's actually an exhaust pipe in there, so this is functional. I know that sounds like I'm nitpicking, but man, so many German cars that I've looked at recently have fake exhaust, to the point that even an Audi had full-on fake exhaust. Can't stand that. This is at least an opening that is functional, which is great. The rest of this vehicle, in terms of the rear end design, very well done. All right, guys, so the big change for the 2021 Arteon is right here. You get standard digital cockpit, which is really nice to have. So the analog gauges are gone for all models. Then you work your way up to this model, which, let's face it, it's not just an SEL, but it's the R line. So you got lots of extra little trim goodies. This absolutely excellent steering wheel. Volkswagen does great steering wheels, which has the flat bottom, great for sporty people and fat people like me. And then, of course, you have all of these controls here on the steering wheel. Now, you do have touch controls. They're not really, they click, you feel them click, but they're kind of vague. You know what I mean? They're not as haptic. They're not quite haptic, right? So you could feel a click, but I want to feel more, especially if I'm driving. You know what I mean? I want more feedback to my thumb. Okay. With that minor issue taken aside, the rest of the cockpit is very nice. It's quite, you know, it's presentable. By the way, this is built in Germany. This is not an American-built vehicle, except for the transmission, which is built in Japan. This component up here, looks like it's metal. It's not exactly metal. Same down here. Looks it, not exactly, mostly plastic here, but it's very tasteful. And the overall design, I think, is better looking than the Passat. This is an 8-inch screen, and it actually works really well. The overall design of this vehicle is something that I'm actually really thrilled about. Very simple to use. The final point of this vehicle in terms of what the updates are these seats, which are fantastic. Not just the front seats, but the back seats as well. So the comfort level here is excellent. And decent headroom, decent leg room. Yeah, you have to crouch to get into this car. It's kind of low. But overall, I find it to be a more comfortable place than the Passat and the Jetta. Now, before I open this, just understand that what you're about to see is a 27.2 cubic foot trunk. How is that possible? Well, it's not really a trunk. This is a hatchback. That's why that's so massive. Look at that. It's one of the reasons I love hatchbacks, because they're so utilitarian if you compare them to a regular sedan. Now, if you fold those seats down, and it is a 60-40 split design, you get 56.2 cubic feet of space. That is comparable to many smaller crossovers and SUVs. Oh, and there's more. There's more. Look at this. Now open this up. That, my friends, is a full-size spare tire. That is a 20-inch wheel that matches these wheels. That is super rare. This whole design is very utilitarian. However, because of the way this slopes, you're not able to get really big items in there. What if they built a wagon? Well, they do, actually, but it's not available for the United States because many of you consumers don't want wagons here. The wagon version of this, by the way, absolutely smoking good looking, ridiculously good looking. There we go. That is a 268 horsepower 4-cylinder engine that puts out 258 pound-feet of torque. It's Volkswagen's venerable 2-liter turbo, and it's hooked up to an 8-speed automatic transmission. This car has an all-wheel drive system, 4Motion, which, by the way, I'm a big fan of. I think it works really well. It's a Haldex system. With this setup, despite the fact that this car weighs nearly 2 tons, you still are able to get 24 miles per gallon combined. That's not bad. The only issue is it's not quite a lot of power. It's just enough power. And for the price of this vehicle, you would think that it might have something a little bit more, oh, I don't know, beefy. Check this out. Dude, spacious. Normally I have a problem getting into such a low roof vehicle, but the seat's pretty low too. More importantly, my feet fit easily under the front seat. Now I'm 6'1", so the seat is nearly all the way back. I have plenty of space back here. So, what else is there? Well, look at this. Ta-da! Cup holder. And you have a ski pass-through. Not that you'll really need it because this thing is so massive inside. Also, one thing I really love, rear vents, and you're able to control the temperature. And then you have this down there if you want to get a little extra juice for your phone. All in all, very comfortable place to be. So comfortable that I would say that this is almost best in class. It's that good. This vehicle sort of sits in a weird ether because it competes against mid-size sedans that are on the smaller side and the larger side, the less expensive side and the more expensive side. Here's an example. Technically speaking, this can go up against the Toyota Avalon and the Toyota Camry, also the Nissan Maxima and the Nissan Altima. All of those vehicles have fairly good horsepower, and there are some variants that have all-wheel drive. This has all-wheel drive as an option. In terms of power, it's interesting because there are vehicles out there that put out less power but feel a little bit more lively, like the Mazda 6, but the Mazda 6 doesn't have all-wheel drive. And then, of course, you have the other side of it. This can also compete against BMW, Audi, and Mercedes-Benz if you look at their lower-end models. It's kind of weird, so it sits in this weird ether, right? The problem is, last year they sold about 6,000 of these in the United States. They're just not that popular here. It's a shame because it's such a pretty car. I'd love to see more of these on the road. However, if you're looking at competition, and if you're looking at something like this and want to get something less expensive with a really nice interior, lots of goodies, good turbo power and all-wheel drive, hell, you can get a Kia K5 for a lot less money and perform nearly as good, be more efficient, and have a nicer interior. Okay, I wouldn't recommend that you do rally driving with this thing, although the all-wheel drive system is quite good. You know what else is good? Hold on, cameraman. I was going 20 miles per hour, and the ABS is really good on really loose soil. I didn't notice that until I kept making poor Case run back and forth doing outside shots in the dirt. You may think that this is, with being in the R line, it is the enthusiast's version of a Volkswagen beautiful sedan, and you'd be right. Unfortunately, the power isn't quite there, and there is a little tiny bit of lag. With that being said, if you compare it to a lot of the other vehicles out there that compete against it, the way it comes in terms of its price, the turbocharged power that you get in this vehicle, is sort of mid-pack. So it's more so than, let's say, a Kia K5 Turbo or even the Mazda 6 Turbo. And I like to compare this vehicle to the Mazda 6 because I think both of them are beautiful to look at, and they're like a step above the class they're technically in. That's just my own issue. But the thing is that Mazda 6 doesn't give you all-wheel drive as an option. This does. Also, the Mazda 6 is about to be discontinued, and importantly, so is the Passat. It's brother, I guess, cousins of this car. And I'm okay with that because the Passat was never something that wowed me. This wows me, at least looking at it. Oh, and there's something else that you guys should know. So if you get this with all the packages and everything, it's almost completely loaded, you also get heated rear seats just on the outboard seats. And that's actually really good in snow country. This would be an excellent winter car for Colorado. I have here the sticker. I'm not going to show it to you because you have to be sitting down, not walking with your phone, because you'll drop your phone or you'll fall over. As MSRP states on this sticker, $48,585. It's a Volkswagen. It's not the most expensive Volkswagen. You can actually make these things even pricier. That's including other vehicles. They do build crossovers that are pretty pricey as well. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, especially considering the fact that you can get this vehicle in the base version front-wheel drive for around $37,000, $38,000, which is significantly less. Adding all-wheel drive and then all the goodies that you saw on the inside, that's what makes the price so dear. Should you pay that? There's a lot of competition out there that says no. Personally speaking, I know a lot of Volkswagen fans out there that would be thrilled with this because they're sick and tired of how small their Jetta is. And that would be one of the reasons to do it. Another reason is it's so much better than any other Volkswagen that I can think of in terms of its overall dynamics, comfort, convenience, and most importantly, looks, because it looks like $1 million. Thanks for joining me for the Fast Lane Car. This is Nathan. I'll see you next time.